bad things get published, and it's I mean, I struggle to sell a book every single day of my life, and like get rejection, and then I look at what's selling, and I'm like, I know in my heart of hearts that the book that I'm trying to sell is better than that book, and more important. I mean, part of being an agent is that I have to feel that way about my clients, and like I said, I wouldn't take on a client that I didn't feel that way about. But I think you can blame the readers. You know, the market, they demand these types of books. Harry Potter, I've never read a word of Harry Potter, but what I hear is it's well crafted and a wonderful book. So there are people who are young adults that will read really good young adult books, and there's people that will read really crappy young adult books. My 40-year-old sister-in-law read Twilight and loved it. I mean, I won't talk about her much more, but but I mean, a lot of adults are reading this kind of books too. People read crap and people read wonderful stuff.
But there are great books out there for kids and for teenagers. I mean, not enough, but they're out there. I mean, there's a wonderful novel by Peter Cameron that I was thinking of when you know, Someday This Pain Will Be Useful to You, which is kind of post-gay. I mean, he's gay and it's not made a big deal of in the novel. There's a beautiful novel, middle grade novel by Kathy Appelt called Keeper. And there's this amazingly beautiful gay love story just kind of snuck in there with no warning on the cover. I mean, I'm sure there are millions of parents who, you know, bought this book for their kids and then all of a sudden are reading it and are taken by surprise. So it's one of those things where, you know, the problem has not been solved, but the baby steps are being taken in that direction, I think.
Just something to remember too with young adult lit is that on one hand it's well, it is market driven, right, and we can blame the readers, but it's cyclical, right? I mean, the readers, you know, read what the publishers are putting out there, and it's young adult and children's lit is somewhat unique in that the people who identify as the target demographic are more often than not, and this is changing with the internet, that interweb, you know, but they're not the ones writing and publishing it. Adults are writing and publishing for you know, a target demographic that they no longer identify as, right? So what's at the center of this is that adult writers and adult publishers' idea of what a young adult is, right? So there, at the very least, there's going to be some disconnect there, right?
I would say I absolutely agree. And the project that I almost took on that had the gay character in it was written by an 18-year-old who had just graduated from high school, and I was so impressed by the craft of the writing, because you don't see that a lot in 18-year-olds, but also that he was writing about young adult. He was writing about high school and he had just graduated, and I had the same feedback to give to him that is so refreshing to hear, because you know, the publishers are 40, you know, they're not young adults any longer. And I also want to say that what makes a book successful is not something that can be figured out by a publisher sitting in an office. Twilight, the books that you know as everyday names like Twilight and Harry Potter, nobody knew that those books were going to be big. They weren't marketed to be huge sellers. They took off because readers responded to them. So it is completely feasible in my mind for an amazing book to be written with a gay narrator, a gay protagonist, a gay point of view that is just so well written and so plot driven and amazing that it could do just as well as any of those books.
Let's take one more question and then we're going to have our student readers. Is there one more question?
Great.
You guys are talking a lot about, like, you know, having gay narratives that are post-gay and not a big deal, and I mean, like, a lot of you mentioned it, and I think that's important, but, like, how do you strike the balance between, like, that, like, not trying to make it about being gay or about being trans, and, like, the Dumbledore effect, where it's, like, it's not even in the text, but, like, it's said that he's gay, but it's not even in the text. Like, how do you strike the balance between, like, it's not about that versus it's so subtextual that it's not even there?
I would say write characters that are amazing people, and if they happen to be write characters that are amazing people, and if they happen to be gay, then they happen to be gay. I mean, I don't understand the Dumbledore thing. Is he gay? I mean, I know Ian McKellen. Does he play?
No.
Oh.
He's gay, but there's a strong emphasis.
Yeah.
She came out
Oh,
after
she came
the
up.
city.
And it's,
I mean, I think she probably would have done a better service to readers if she had mentioned it in the book, but she wasn't asking my advice while she was reading. But I mean, why not just make it that character's dating a man who's dating a man, or a woman just broke up with her girlfriend, or, you know, like, there's ways of saying it without hitting people over the head with it. And this is just, I was the one who wanted a book that was post-gay. Maybe we're not ready for that in the young adult market.
I'll let you decide.
Yes, yes, we are. We're ready. You know, you guys have the skills to. Some of you in here, I know, have the skills to write it.
And we're going to prove that right now. In terms of post-gay, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that the gay experience and oppression that gay people still experience daily should not be centered in the narrative. Or that in a historical novel set in, say, the 1930s, in which normally we don't hear these type of stories about gay characters, that can't be centered as well. And as you will hear from our student readers today, in their excellent works of fiction, they are the change we've been looking for. So I'm going to start with a piece by Kristen Bowman. Kristen is an undergraduate here at UNCW. She will graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and a minor in creative writing this spring. After graduation, she and her boyfriend hope to travel the country before she attends graduate school to become an expressive arts therapist. In the meantime, she enjoys her art, drumming, and skincare education, and she finds inspiration incorporating her travel experiences, creativity, and psychological understanding of different perspectives into her writing. I'm just going to add that Kristen wrote this piece in my class this semester, and it was so popular with our students that we kind of volunteered her for this, and she was very kind enough to agree to read. So I will introduce Kristen Bowman.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you guys for coming. My piece is titled One Drop Administered to Bloom. My arm has a wristband on it. It used to read my name and my patient number, or at least I thought it did. Now I just see black ink turning into spirals and patterns on the paper. It was white when they first committed me in here. Now there are colors I can't name, blooming and trailing down my arm. I locked lips with the wrong person, they said. A sinner, a homosexual, they said. Insanity, the judge said. Still, I remember her soft touch electrifying me in a way that no boys had. Now, thinking of her, my vision fills with glowing energy, vibrating toward me from an unknown force. I see that we will always be connected, and the unjust guilt they made me feel rises away. Damn, brightness. Yet my eyes don't squint against the stunning light. It's like I can't see enough. All these kaleidoscope patterns are exploding in front of my eyes. I don't think I've ever seen so much of God's beautiful creation energy. How long have my eyes really been open? Yesterday, nothing looked like this. They turn off the bright light, pull it away from my eyes. Their coats and glasses look huge. They ask all these questions. Why did I kiss her? Now they're telling me to like men, telling me to get better. I'm better, I say. I see now. Every time we kiss, touch, love, meet someone, we're all connected. One, family. We must love each other. That's all that matters to God. We're all people. You're wrong, a voice says, cold and unloving and angry. Bad energy. I want to get away. I long for the sun instead of this fake fluorescent light. I look at the ceiling and watch the swirling and blooming patterns to tune out the negative, hateful voices. I see intricate rainbow swirls, circles, and diamonds blossom across the tiny room of once blank white walls. I long to be free to see the outside, to breathe the fresh air expelled by God-given nature's spirit. I think of my parents and my friends and wonder what the white-coated men told them, how they explained. Just as anxiety creeps in, I feel a spiritual presence fill me with peace and grace. All the people I love and who love me are pouring out light. I understand how I must get back to them, to spread this positivity. I see at once who cares about me and realize who I need to let go. I see the mistakes I made and how the one that got me in here was used for good. Finally, I see that nothing anyone could do in this judgmental and wild place could separate us from love. But this world isn't ready for all these realizations yet, and they don't listen. So I watch the colors bloom.
And for our second reader, I'd like to introduce Ms. Bethany Tapp. She is a second-year fiction track MFA candidate here at UNCW. She works as a writing tutor, as a designer for the literary journal Chautauqua, and as a graduate assistant in the Department of Educational Leadership. She resides in Wilmington with her wife Clarissa and 2 cats, Squash and Acorn. A native Michigander, she misses winter, microbreweries, fresh water, and stores that accept Canadian money. Please welcome Bethany Tapp.
Hi. So I'm just going to give a little introduction to this. This is an excerpt from my coming-of-age novel in progress. The setting is a made-up town in northern Michigan around the Great Depression. This is an early chapter in which the narrator, Anika, is 12 years old. The novel is speculative and fits under the umbrella of queer YA insofar as it has several gay characters in it. So this is from chapter 2, July 1928. It started with a tingling in my fingertips. One by one, each callous tip began to vibrate. I was fishing in the creek with Davy Jr. I'd only been catching tiny bluegill, but then this perch took the last bit of worm. I reeled it in, reached for it. A light zapped from my finger and shocked the fish, killing it. I flung it back in, thrust my hands in my pockets, and told Davy that I had to go home. He only shrugged, and I knew he hadn't seen it. I went to grandmother's house, keeping my hands tucked deep in the pockets of my skirt. She was sitting on the porch, humming softly, watching the clouds that had been hanging overhead for weeks. At my approach, she stood. "Anika, is everything?" And she must have seen the fear in my eyes. What happened? "Father told me it wouldn't," I burst out. "He said I was like him, all Anderson and not a bishop like you, Mother, and Aunt Bridget." "What did you do?" But there was no saying it. There was only showing. Slowly, I drew my left hand